Welcome back to the best division in football with Awthentik and the Beard, presented by All or Nothing Studios. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in tonight. Week 1 is in the books. It's time for some appalling overreactions and hot takes. Thanks for tuning in. We got 3 NFC East matchups we're going to recap. We're going to do a little bit of around the league. Let's say what's up to the guys. Awthentik, man. Tough week for your G-men. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling all right, man. Surprisingly, with the L, normally that'll ruin your whole week because you got to go outside and do things day to day. But being that, ain't much going on outside these days, man. It's been pretty chill. Got to catch up on some football, watch some shows, man, this morning, man. And just real slow, real chill day, man. Nothing too crazy.
Sounds good. The Beard, your Washington football team, sole possession of first place in the NFC East. I know you're feeling good. What's up with you, man?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. All I gotta say is 8 sacks. That's
We'll get there. We're gonna get there.
Nah, everything's good. Just yesterday was a crazy day. 2 Monday Night Football games. I had 3 lives on my Over the Years YouTube channel. So today was a busy day of packing. I'm just glad to be able to get down and sit down with the fellas and talk about some football.
But busy days are good days in 2020, if you ask me.
Amen. Let me say what's up to some people.
Oh, yeah. We got some chatters.
Yeah, we got some people in the chat. What's going on, Ben? How you doing, brother? Thank you for joining us. Mr.
Faithful.
Kevin Homewood.
What up? What up?
How's it going? Sir Knock knows 8 sacks. 8 sacks. My man Kevin from Pop's Attic of Collectibles. He wants to know how the Washington football team is in first place. Pretty crazy.
Insane.
My man Benny. Benny was texting with me and Awthentik the whole game. It was pretty funny. Carlos, you're here, brother. On time. Los, good to see you, my man.
Close, man. Good to have you, buddy.
We got Kat, the nurse flipper, in the building. Kelly, the econ mom, is here, ready to talk about some football. We got Digital Prophet leading the division. I know there's going to be a bunch of hype.
Digital Prophet is Eli. What up,
Eli, what's going on,
up,
Eli? There's going to be a bunch of hype Redskins or Washington football team fans in here. We got Joe Deals in the building. Ben Noggle.
Nogs, what up, buddy?
What's up, boy?
So, yeah, we're ready to rock and roll. Thank you all for joining us today. Oh, there goes Ketchlaw. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man? And Troy is also here.
Go Squad. All right, let's get into it. So we're going to recap 1 to 2 Monday night matchups featured Awthentik's New York Giants against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger finally returns to live game action after he missed a good portion of last year with an injury. He had 3 passing touchdowns, led the Steelers to a 26-16 victory. We spoke at depth last week about the Steelers' young defense, and they showed out in a big way, holding Saquon Barkley to 6 rushing yards total on 15 attempts. Not going to get it done. Daniel Jones had to shoulder the load for New York's offense. He had an admirable showing, couple interceptions, but he did throw for 2 touchdowns, 280 passing yards. Him and Darius Slayton have an obvious connection going on. Offense didn't help him much. Evan Ingram dropped a big pass in the first half. And, Awthentik, I know you're not thrilled with the result of the game, but give us some positives and negatives that you gleaned from your Giants this Monday.
Man, there's so much with this game, man. Pittsburgh Steelers definitely gave us the chance to win this game. I feel like there was 3 major opportunities in this game for the Giants to really put this one away. I'll start with some of the bad. I mean, obviously, Saquon Barkley couldn't get the running game going. I want to say he had a total of like 8 yards on the day. The Giants ran for 29 total yards. 22 of them were from Daniel Jones. I mean, to go into the half down by, just 6 points was kind of interesting to me. It seemed like when Saquon Barkley not getting the ball moving and things like that, you would think we would be getting crushed. But Daniel Jones did hold his own. He showed up definitely to play. Couple major mistakes in this game. The interception, man, in the back of the end zone when he's trying to get rid of the ball late there, it's just a bonehead play. Young quarterbacks, you got to expect that. But going against this Pittsburgh Steelers defense, I mean, it's not bad considering. I mean, they shut out just about every quarterback last year. I want to say all but 2 had 2 interceptions against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And even our MVP, Lamar Jackson, was 19 of 28, 1 touchdown with 3 interceptions in his only showing last year against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it goes to show you how crucial this defense is. They got some young boys in there, some upgrades. Daniel Jones was never comfortable all night. I got to check this stat here and make sure I got this one perfect because this one kind of blew my mind about Daniel Jones. He was pressured 20 times, and he was blitzed 29 times. It's the most ever in week 1 ever.
The pressures or the blitz number?
Both of those. The blitz 29 times and the pressure 20. That's the most ever in a week 1.
NFL record or for the
NFL
Giants?
record. It's period. Any team. No one's ever seen that kind of blitz week 1. Now, considering he only had 2 picks, he had 2 touchdowns. He was 26 for 41, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The one interception is complete bonehead interception at the end of the game. He's got to get rid of that ball. But the first interception to T.J. Watt, T.J. Watt jumps up, makes an Odell Beckham style type grab there. You really can't blame that on the quarterback. But that was the first pivotal changing point in this game for me because at that point the Giants are up 10-3, right? We're driving. We're trying to score here to make this a 2-touchdown or at least a 2-score game. We're in midfield when that happens. It's second down, I believe, and you get an interception there. And then also we got the ball back with 3 minutes left before the half was about to end. I want to say we were up 10-6 at that, or no, 10-3 again. 10-3 still at this point. Or 10-9. I'm sorry, because Pittsburgh had missed their extra point, so it was 10-9 at this point. And we get a chance to come down and score and increase our lead after a few mistakes already. And they still don't get the ball down there in the end zone. We end up having to punt the ball back to Pittsburgh, leave them just enough time to drive down the field and score on us, take the lead at the half. And, now it's looking like Pittsburgh controlled that first half when in reality the Giants controlled the first half without running the ball, which is insane to me.
And like you mentioned that second interception, that was the backbreaker in my opinion because they were driving all the way down the field, and it was a tipped ball at the line of scrimmage, right? That ended up just getting picked off by the big boy.
Yeah, and he's
kind of a spooky interception, but that – you guys were within 1 score. If you had scored that touchdown, you would have been in the lead. That really turned the game.
And that drive was impressive. It was
absolutely
19 plays, 87 yards.
Now look, that I had a stat about that too. It was the longest drive since like the 70s where somebody went 19 plays and didn't score a touchdown.
Really?
Yeah. That 19 plays is ridiculous for a drive. And Daniel Jones was doing miraculous things coming out of the pocket. The pressure's coming down. He's spinning out of the pocket, converting on plenty of third downs. Just making the plays, man. And one of the good signs from the Giants here was Darius Slayton, man, who caught that early touchdown and got a second one in the second half there, kind of in garbage time. But that's definitely the deciding play of the game. To me, it's like as soon as Daniel Jones throws that interception in the second half, the game is over at that point,
Was the ball tipped or no?
He got hit at the line, but it's like, he's rolling to his left, right?
Right.
You could clearly see that, when a quarterback has that time to pump the ball right before they want to get rid of it, he knew the pressure's coming down. He saw it. He wanted to try to wait to make a play. I think Shepard was dragging along the back of the end zone. He was hoping to get that cleared to maybe at least get a chance. And this is the thing, he was a wild card that whole drive. He was making throws that he wasn't really supposed to be making, holding on to the ball a little bit too long, but he was just coming out fortunate out of these plays. And I think he just was going with the stride, and he just made a critical bonehead mistake with that interception. But there's moments before that game, before that play that the Giants had, we had these opportunities. 2 times we was up by 7 and we're trying to get the 2 score and we can't get it. Our offense stalls out. It's just, it's unfortunate for New York because coming against a team like these Pittsburgh Steelers, if we could have came out here and even just played it closer than it really was, because at the end losing by 10 there, the game wasn't that close. Pittsburgh goes up late in that game. The Giants don't have a chance.
But Saquon Barkley having the game he did, the fact you only lost by 10 points, I think we got to give Daniel Jones some credit for keeping you guys in the game as long as he did.
Most definitely. I think he did everything he could. He's a young quarterback. He made a couple of mistakes, but to come out of that 279 yards, it shows you he was slinging it around. When he looked good, he looked great. And when he looked bad, he looked terrible.
One more question real quick before I kick it over to the beard. Do you think Darius Slayton is a #1 receiver in the NFL? Maybe not this year, but next couple of years? Their connection's real.
Yeah, he plays the position like a #1 wide receiver too. He reminds me of like a A.J. Green. He's slender, but he can go across the middle and make these jumping catches and still take the hits. I think Slayton is just as a #1 as Terry McLaurin. Both of those guys are young, fast, know how to run good routes. They play the game very mature. I definitely think he's a bona fide #1. And lastly, Golden Tate not dressing for this game did hurt us just a little bit, but the #1 factor in this game is Saquon Barkley not getting the run going. And I got to commend Jason Garrett called a good game, but they didn't call enough creative plays once they noticed that this front four was stopping Saquon the way they was. And let me take that back. It wasn't a front four here. They had 8 in the box all night. So once once they couldn't figure out a way to get this running clicking, I think they should have just got a little creative. We didn't see no trick plays. We didn't see any kind of crazy motions or anything coming from New York. Solid game by Daniel Jones, though, man. And this defense had its moments. And also want to get to that offensive line real quick. Andrew Thomas on the left side. For the most part of the night, he looked great. The Giants pass blocked very well in the beginning of the night. The run block struggled all night. But it was good to see Andrew Thomas at least, showing up and looking like, not a rookie. He was looking like he'd been in the league for a couple years.
And we know left tackle as well as cornerback is two of the hardest positions to step in day one and actually be a starter and be an effective type starter. So, shout out Andrew Thomas. That's a good sign because now you got Will Hernandez and Thomas, the left side of the line. The Giants, they got pieces over there. We just need to grow together. I mean, it takes snaps,
Yeah, and talking to Patrick about it, man, the Giants didn't run the ball to the left side that much. They might have had 1 or 2 runs in the whole first half to the left side. Most of their runs were going to the right. Fleming over there, or whatever his name is, had a terrible game. I remember there was one play where 2 guys were coming at him, and he looked like his brain just froze up. And he didn't go for either of the players. He just blocked like the middle and whiffed. So that offensive line will gel a little bit more. The defensive side of the ball looked like what we thought it was going to kind of look like, but they played this game better than I think most people anticipated the Giants coming out and playing. We were right there, and that happens against good teams. You get those opportunities, those windows, and the bad teams don't capitalize on those things, and that happened to the New York Giants, unfortunately.
That's well put. The Beard, I'm going to ask you a Steelers question. It's kind of a fantasy question as well for some James Conner owners out there. Starting running back for the Steelers, he left in the second half with an ankle injury. Benny Snell relieves him, comes in his first 100-yard rushing game as a pro, 113 on 19 carries. Do you see a timeshare going forward if Connor's healthy? And if not, are you seeing Benny Snell as a hot pickup on the waiver wire?
I mean, me personally, I kind of foresaw a running back by committee in Pittsburgh since before the season even started. That's why I was telling PJ. PJ wanted to draft Connor super early, and I was like, I don't know, man. They got Benny Snell over there. They drafted Anthony McFarland. They got Samuel, who also, another running back over there, gets touches. It seemed like they were going heavy committee style with the running back position, and I'd be surprised. I would imagine that Benny Snell might be already, picked up as far as drafted, a late round draft pick, and when it comes to fantasy, for sure already. But if he's not, I would definitely pick him up. I mean, you saw him, he had 113 yards on the ground on like, I think it was a very small amount of carries too. I think he was averaging like 6 yards a carry or something like that.
He had a key moment in this game too. 16-10 with 2 minutes left in the third. He fumbled the ball, and I swear there was 6 New York Giants around the ball. He was right around the sideline. And Juju Smith-Schuster just comes out of nowhere, man. And they pull everybody up off the pile, and Juju's got the ball. To me, that was one of the key moments in this game, too, because Giants were only down by 6. That happened right around midfield. If we could manage to get the ball there, we're driving down to score a touchdown and maybe try to, take a 1-point lead here. But Snell, besides that one blemish, I mean, dude had an incredible game and a no-name kind of running back coming out of nowhere, man. But it shows you Pittsburgh has the kind of system that they can run that ball with any running back. And we see what happens with Le'Veon Bell over here in New York. I mean, he can't even run the ball no more.
He on IR now for a couple of weeks at least,
Yeah, and the coach said he had a problem with that too because he said he blamed it on himself. He said, I shouldn't have let him play because he came into the game coming off the hamstring injury. And we know how those hamstrings are, man. You tweak it once, you better make sure it's ready.
True. And, for me, though, the one big play or, the one big play that didn't become a bigger play was the muff punt in the very beginning of that game. Like, for me, in my mind, I'm thinking the Giants, they have to be able to pounce on any opportunity that they have against a better team. Because, I mean, in reality, Pittsburgh is the better team. It's not saying that the Giants are necessarily a bad team, but Pittsburgh is coming into this game as the better team, basically on paper.
That's a major squandered opportunity. And it's right in the beginning of the game. The Giants go like 3 and out, maybe a couple plays. They punt the ball, and you get that muff punt. They down at their own 3-yard line right there. That would have been a simple walk-in touchdown. We got one of the best running backs in the league. It's crazy that we can't can't just punch that ball in there, man.
And that's the thing is that, like, there's a couple of those moments throughout the game where it's just like you saw a lot of good things with the Giants. Like that Daniel Jones to Darius Slayton, the first touchdown, that pass.
Oh, money.
I mean, you saw a little bit of what's special about Danny Dimes. You saw a little bit about what's special with Darius Slayton and how the two of them together can be a huge component moving forward for the New York Giants. But you just, in games like that, you have to take those opportunities and make something with them. That's just the most important thing when you're playing a team that on paper, this point in the year, because we don't have much film, is better than you. So that to me was a huge point.
So before
That's
we kick
facts.
into commercial break, Awthentik, give me a confidence scale on your Giants after week 1. Are you 100%? You feeling great? 50% as you expected, or are you not feeling great about the season?
I'm feeling pretty good about them still. My pride as a Giants fan is why I picked this win, because you want to hope to come out opening day and get a W. But I knew that there was a chance that we could lose this game. We'll get to it later, but fortunately the Eagles aren't looking up to par here, and I picked us to split with them, so maybe we can catch a victory in that column, taking this L against Pittsburgh. But yeah, I mean that's a seasoned team, seasoned organization. The Giants came in as a young team. They had the opportunities. The window was open. Pittsburgh took a while to get things clicking there. Big Ben looked great third, fourth quarter. First and second quarter was looking pretty average, and we just didn't take advantage of those opportunities, and we squandered that. That muff punt, man, them interceptions from Danny Dimes, the running game from Saquon Barkley. It's unfortunate, but they got to go back to the drawing board and figure something out here to get the some more yards out of Saquon Barkley. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I believe it. Breaking news: Michael Thomas from the Saints looks like he's out for a couple weeks. For all you fantasy owners or Saints fans, obviously not good. Arguably the best receiver in football. Quick commercial break. Cowboys fans, hang around. We got your recap coming up next. All right, the Dallas Cowboys opened up their 2020 campaign traveling to L.A. to battle the Rams in their shiny new stadium, SoFi Stadium. Quarterback Jared Goff threw for 275 yards. Running back Malcolm Brown had a career-high 79 and 2 touchdowns. The Rams ended up taking it. It was 20-17. The game was boring. I did not enjoy a second of watching this. I don't know why. Side note, though, Ezekiel Elliott still really good at football. He rushed for 96 yards and a touchdown. He caught another touchdown. But continuing the worrisome trend for the Cowboys from 2019, second half offense kind of sputtered. They only had 3 points after the intermission. They also had 3 big injuries that are going to affect them for the rest of the year, which you can't afford, especially coming out of the gate 0-1. All-pro linebacker Leighton Vander Esch has a broken clavicle, out 6 to 8 weeks. Tight end Blake Jarwin lost for the season, torn ACL. And the offensive tackle Cam Irving sprained his left MCL. He's going to miss a couple weeks. So just to add injury to insult, if you want to flip that pun around, that's what happened to them. Awthentik, you foresaw the slow start for the Cowboys this year. We're going to start with you. Who's the blame going to lay on for this offensive production, which was clearly lackluster and not going to get it done?
I got to start with Mike McCarthy. Cowboys had a lot of opportunities, man. They didn't rely on their run heavy, and then they ended up trailing in this game to the point where they had to rely on the pass. I mean, offensively, they looked good pretty much all night. I liked what I saw out of the rookie, CeeDee Lamb at wide receiver. I mean, he was third downs, except that one, man, that rookie. I don't know who that rookie cornerback was for the Rams, but he came up and made that hit on that 3rd and 3 where CeeDee Lamb was coming across on that crossing route.
Had to catch.
Stopped him dead, bro. I mean, it was a great play. To me, it was a game-changing play, too. But, I mean, yeah, they didn't rely on the run. Dak Prescott, man, that dude continues to impress me, man. That game was as close as it was because of Dak. I mean, you just see the tough runs he's doing where most quarterbacks are going to slide. Dak Prescott is taking on 2 and 3 defenders, falling to the ground, getting right back up. I think he's the kind of quarterback that they should treat a little bit more like a Cam Newton possibly, man. Like, start running some more RPO with Dak and putting the ball in his hands to run the ball and make that a threat, because if I'm playing defense for the Rams in this game, I'm not looking at Dak as a threat to run the ball because offensively they don't scheme that way. So, I mean, I got to blame this one on Mike McCarthy. Jason Garrett always found ways to get Zeke the ball. I don't know how many carries he ended up with this game, but in this game, but watching it, it just didn't feel like they were pounding Zeke the way that they should have early and late. In the first quarter, it seemed like he wasn't getting the carries I thought he should have been getting. And when he was getting his carries, I mean, he was getting his man. You know, he was spoon eating all night and all that.
Their offensive line has been the strength for, 5 years now, but it's looking like it's not as good as it's been in recent years, which is not a good sign for Dak Prescott. He does well with the clean pocket, but when it gets a little bit messy, like Awthentik said, if he can run, go ahead and get it. But if he's going to scramble out of the pocket, I'm not as big a Dak fan at that point.
Yeah, and you just got to find ways to be creative and get him the ball out in space, you know. Dak can sit back in the pocket and control things. But what I like about Dak is when the pocket breaks down, you don't got to worry too much. It's kind of like Big Ben. These guys can take hits in the pocket and manage to get positive yards. It seemed like the Cowboys were getting positive yards almost on all their plays. You know, in reverse, this Giants game, it's like every play was a loss, it seemed like, in the Giants game, especially in the running game. But to see the Cowboys offense continuously just getting positive yards, but then it just not showing up on the scoreboard. I got to check these red zone stats.
They scored only one more point than you guys. So, you know, as good as they look with the yards, which has been a Cowboys theme, you know, they had the #1 offense last year, but when they need to score a touchdown, they got issues with it.
Yeah, I mean, Dak, he took care of the ball, too, 25 of 39, 266 yards and a touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott, they did give it to him 22 times for 96 yards. He averaged 4 yards a pop. I mean, you could see the coaching imbalance here, too. McVay was just controlling the game in the second half. The new running back for the Rams, Brown, I mean, that kid, he surprised the hell out of me, man. 2 touchdowns, I believe.
He had some good run last year too. Towards the end of the year, that they were definitely giving him, you know, the look, which is why it was kind of surprising that the Rams drafted Cam Akers. But that they got a nice backfield over there in LA. I mean, their team in general, they looked so much better in that one game than they did for most of last year. The Rams did. The Cowboys, it was almost like the complete opposite, the two teams. Like, the Cowboys were, like, missing that sort of – you didn't see any sort of hype with them at all. You know, like, I mean, you saw a couple of this, but, like, there just was no energy for me when I was watching, you know, and which is kind of funny because Boom started out by saying the game was super boring, you know.
Yeah,
and
I didn't think either team really showed out. Neither of these teams impressed me by any means. I mean, Dallas moved the ball. They couldn't score. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott was that offense. That got some yards, but they weren't doing anything unless Zeke was touching the ball.
The Rams were moving the ball. Robert Woods connection, let me tell you, Robert Woods, one of the most underrated wide receivers in the
that was
league.
10 seconds into the game. They didn't score
and that's what I was going to say,
like
too. Like, Robert Woods got half his catches in, like, the first few throws. You know what I mean?
He had 5 catches on the first drive.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the box score here, if you look at the Cowboys' numbers, they look like they should have won this game. I mean, Amari Cooper had 10 catches for 81 yards. The only thing missing here out of their top 3 wide receivers is a touchdown.
That's the Cowboys special, man. That's the Cowboys special. I'm not even hating on the Cowboys. I think they're a good team, and I think they're going to do a lot better this year. But that's Awthentik, man. They put up big numbers in the box score, but when it comes to when they need it, it doesn't seem to get done.
Yeah, I mean, just putting points up on the board, man, that seems like a big problem in the NFC East, period, because the Rams allowed the Cowboys to linger in this game and hang around. Instead of just pushing this and getting this to a 2-score game, they allowed them to hang around, you know, and same thing I thought with Philadelphia and Washington. It was like when you had that lead, when you really should be putting the gas down, you know, Pete Carroll style and just running up the scoreboard and starting to throw the ball more, they just don't do it, you know? So it's showing in the box score. You don't got the touchdowns that you want. You only end up with 17 points on the day.
That's what happens. So the Beard, we got to talk about this call because it was most likely the most controversial call of the entire weekend. End of the game, Michael Gallup running a route wide open. It's going to be a touchdown catch almost for sure. It's called for an offensive pass interference. Jalen Ramsey was the actor. He should win a Golden Globe. They give that for acting, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the acting awards, yes. But
should have won a Golden Globe
acting?
award. I mean, it looked like a little bit of hand, and he did a lot. All I'm saying is the call was questionable. McCarthy spoke about it after the game. He said he didn't like it. Obviously affected the outcome. After watching it, if you were a zebra on the field, if you were wearing those stripes, would you have called this or swallowed your whistle?
See, now that's a different question. I thought we were going with that.
That's why we do this live. Welcome to 2020, baby.
Okay, it's difficult to make a call like that at that point in the game. I'll give you that, right? But the same thing happened to me. What I saw was the thing in the Cincinnati game. if you extend your arms, you're gonna get called for that play, that
100%.
penalty. I mean, that's just it's like you can't complain about something that is. I mean, that's the rule.
It's the rules. It's the rules, and the rules have changed over the years. This call made me go look up the pass interference rules and just kind of check what was going on in there, because they allow the wide receivers to do a lot of hand checking and pushing. As soon as they see somebody grab or extend and use leverage, they're making the call. The other thing that I noticed about the PI rule is that they got rid of face guarding too. They don't call face guarding no more. I think they stopped that since like 2013 or something like that. Because I've seen that all these DBs, they don't even turn around. They just be running like this with their hands up. I'm like, man, back in my day, they used to call face guarding.
Yeah.
So by the book, by the rule, how that is, I mean, I think they're making the right call, and they're consistent. If you see the one in the Giants game that they called against Evan Ingram down the seam route, it was the same thing. And I thought it was even a little bit more tic-tacky. You know, like they might have not needed to call this one either. But
doesn't this ruin the spirit of the sport at the end of the game when it's coming down to it? Don't you want to see the best player versus the best player going at it? I don't want to see any flags.
I agree with you, but you know, this isn't basketball. I talked to Mike Swan about this. Mike Swan was like, in NBA, they just let him go at the end. And I'm like, well,
Swallow
look,
the whistle.
in football, a score is worth so much more than it is in basketball. So in basketball, you're going to score probably 40 or 50 times in a night. So affecting one by just letting them play like that, it doesn't affect the game as crucially. If they don't make that call, that's a completely different game. We're going to overtime, and then we're going to see the Rams lose that game 100%.
Imagine all the people that if they don't make that call, the backlash if they don't make that call is going to be even worse than the fact that they did make the call.
Scotty, about the acting, right? Once he felt leverage, when Jalen Ramsey felt the leverage change, he had to act. Because if he would have just kept his whole demeanor very normal, like he was in coverage, the call might not have got called, Right. So you kind of got to show like, yo, that completely just ruined all my leverage on this route. I'm already a step behind the route, and he pushes off on me. I think acting was the right thing to do there, kind of flopping, for lack of a better word there. But I also want to jump back here to what Carlos said. He said should have McCarthy kicked the field goal, because to me that's the biggest point in the game.
That was
Cowboys
the CeeDee Lamb one, right? Where
up.
CeeDee Lamb caught it and went right down.
Right.
Missed it by that much.
Right. If they kick the field goal there, you got a tie game, and it's 20-20. And now that pass interference call isn't so crazy because you're not looking to score a touchdown or get a late game field goal at the end here to tie it up to go to overtime. It's a whole different play at the end of the game. So I think that's a great point he brought up there.
That's right. All right. You guys want to do some trivia?
Yeah, let's get some trivia going.
I think it's Jersey Giveaway Tuesday. I don't know if anybody's tuned in specifically for that, but we got a jersey coming tonight to the winner. We're going to kick this off. I got 3 questions for Awthentik versus the Beard. Chat, go ahead and chime in. Your votes won't count. Your answers don't count, but it's a good warm-up because we're going to ask your
for these
question
first couple, right?
Exactly. All right. Do we have the can I get trivia music in my ear? The Beard?
Oh yeah, we're queuing it. We're queuing it up right now.
Something about it.
It don't feel right without the music.
So yeah, we'll do 3 questions total for
that.
Awthentik and the Beard, and best out of 3, we'll take that. And then our last question. This is a tough one. I hope you guys know your NFC East history. And it's relative to last week too. There we go. Okay, it's coming. All right. Awthentik, are you ready?
I'm ready, bro.
Tim the Beard, are you ready?
I was born ready.
Let's play Jeopardy. In 2000, the year 2000, 20 years ago, who became the first team to make 4 first-round picks in the same draft? Awthentik, we're starting with you. Would you like the question again?
Yes.
Sure. I heard it, but I'll take it again.
In 2000, who became the first team to make 4 first-round draft selections in the same draft that year? Which team?
Who is the Philadelphia Eagles?
The Beard.
Can you use it in a sentence, please?
I cannot.
What?
The origin of the word?
North American football.
It's the answer is so it's the it's let me think about this. It's the Miami? It's the Miami Dolphins, because the Saints gave up all those picks, right? To get Ricky Williams. Am I tripping?
Stop talking. Final answer?
No. I'm gonna go with
incorrect. Sorry, buddy, that's wrong. The answer is the New York Jets.
Ooh.
Can anybody in the chat give me the 4 players they drafted in the first round?
In 2000?
Year 2000. We got a quarterback. We got a linebacker, D-end.
Okay, Lavernius Coles?
Wrong.
Mark Sanchez? Nah, that's a little too.
Chad
too early.
Pennington.
Chad Pennington. Who said
Chad.
Chad? They got him. Good job. It's Sean Ellis, John Abraham, Chad Pennington, and Anthony Beck. So pretty nice haul for the Jets. Didn't really turn into much.
Yeah, no.
They
What?
didn't get any ring.
They had 4 first-round draft picks that year, and that's what happened?
That's what happened. I mean, those are
Terrible.
good players.
Terrible.
You're lunching. John Abraham's a B. Sean Ellis is good. And Pennington was a
Yeah,
good
but
guy.
how many? But if you have 4 first-round draft picks in the NFL, you should be winning playoff games. Or you just have a bad scouting department.
And coach,
That's just how I feel.
All right, so 0 points for Awthentik, 0 points for the Beard. Moving on. In
That was a tough one.
Yeah.
This one's gonna get harder. This question is real.
Oh my God.
Jersey giveaway night. Come on, man. We can't.
All right.
Jersey giveaway
All right,
night.
all right.
No games.
We're gonna go 10 years behind that one. In the year 1990,
Oh God.
which player broke the record for most sacks in a single game with 7?
Wow.
1990.
1990, played in the AFC.
Bruce Smith.
That was going to be my answer. I'm going to also say Bruce Smith.
Final answers.
Yes.
Incorrect.
Final answer.
Derek Thomas.
The late great Derek Thomas of the Kansas.
that was my second answer.
Don't bandwagon on Authentic's answer, man. Come up with your own
Well,
stuff.
no, immediately
be
as soon as you
authentic.
said
It's the confidence,
AFC,
man. It's
that's
in the
who.
eyes,
As
Chico.
soon as you said AFC, that's immediately who I thought because in my mind originally I was thinking Reggie White, and then you said AFC, and I immediately went to Bruce Smith. But right before when you said final answer, I was like, man, maybe I should say Derek Thomas.
This is not Montgomery County. You do not have to show your work. I just want your answer. For future reference, you're wasting our time.
Cite your answers.
Oh, this
All
is
right,
getting
so
tough.
since it's 0-0, our last question is going to have to be an A or B.
Dang.
All right? It's going to have to be because we need a winner here for you guys. Who finished their career with more rushing yards? Eric Dickerson or Marshall Faulk? The
Eric
Beard, gotta
Dickerson.
start with you. Authentic, it lies in your hands.
Oh, man. Eric Dickerson or Marshall Falk? I'm going to go
Nobody
Eric
in the chat.
Dickerson. I'm going to go Eric Dickerson.
You guys both pick Dickerson?
Yeah.
You're both correct.
All right, so we need a tiebreaker. Do you have like one of the extra one like in their bags?
This is a good one too, and I think you guys should get this. Who won the Super Bowl MVP when the Green Bay Packers won the Super Bowl in 1997? Super Bowl 31. They beat the
I'm
Patriots.
ready.
It was 35-21. We're starting with Authentic. Who won
You're
Super
going
Bowl?
to start with me on all of these, huh?
I just went first last time.
That was I tried, bro. I tried.
Let's hear it.
1997. Dang.
Correct.
that's a strange time too, man.
97 was a great. 96 was my favorite year. 97 was a pretty good year too.
Dorsey Levens.
Desmond Howard. I
The
knew that one.
Beard takes.
I was thinking
knew that
Desmond, but I
one.
couldn't remember his name. I was like, "Who's that punt returner, man?" Who
I
is
knew that. I
You
knew
get
that
Authentic,
one.
you get points for that name drop. That's a phenomenal 90s football player name drop. Right
Yeah,
there.
me and Pat was
Dorsey
talking about
Levens.
Dorsey the other day. I think
Everyone
that's
thought
why he was
about-
still
everyone thought
lingering
about
in my
him
mind.
in my life. All right, chat, are you ready? The time
What's at
has
stake
come.
here again? What's at stake here for the chat?
A jersey from NFL Shop, any team. I don't know about customized. That might be too much money. So we're just gonna get you any team with anybody on the back. Not customizing that thing because you could add a bunch of. Not doing that. Not doing that. But your team, however you want it, sent to your house directly. First person to answer this question in the chat. It's timestamped. The Beard is watching. PJ is watching. Authentic is watching. First person to answer gets the jersey. If two people answer same time, because the timestamp's there, we're gonna have a tiebreaker question. One question to win them all. Okay? Are you guys ready? Get your Google browsers fired up. When is the last time the Washington football team, formerly known as the Redskins, came back from at least a 17-point deficit to win against an NFC East opponent? Answer now.
So, Scotty, are you just looking for the date on this one?
I just want the year. You don't need to give
Just
me
the
the
year
team
on
they
this one.
played. I just want the year.
Hit that Google.
If anybody knows this off top, you win. Rod, we're looking for the year it happened.
Looking for the year.
When is the last time the Washington football team came back from at least a 17-point
He
deficit to
said,
win?
Brunel, we're looking for the year.
What year?
You might have a better chance just listing all the years the NFL's been active than just waiting around here, huh?
You got to go deep into the Google to find this answer.
Woo, they trying.
You guys got to go farther back. I'm seeing a bunch of 90s early. You guys are early. Block, you're early. Eggs, you're early. Ben B, early. Monique, that's not an answer. We're not accepting you don't. I don't know what that
You
is.
don't.
Uh-oh. We got a winner.
I think we got a winner.
Throw it up there. Kelly, the Econ Mom Ward.
Congratulations.
1973. That is the correct answer. We're going to get your contact information. We're going to get that jersey out to you ASAP. In 1973 on December 2nd, the Washington Redskins at that time came back against the Giants and won 27-24, coming back from an 18-point deficit. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Winner. And we're
I
going to
wonder
do this.
who's Kelly's team.
Kelly,
Oh,
go ahead.
I should
Let us
know this.
We should shout him out too. Awthentik, are we going to do this again in a couple weeks, you were saying?
Yeah. I think we should give away another jersey maybe when the Giants play the Redskins or we get a big NFC East matchup. So stay tuned, man. Keep an eye on our Instagram at Awthentik and the Beard, and we'll be definitely making some announcements on that.
Sweet.
Congrats to Kelly again on that.
Yeah, that was
Congrats,
a good one.
Kelly.
That was a hard question. It's going to be easier next time, but that was pathetic. You guys
Ooh,
were
she's a Texans fan.
0208. Texans. All right, Deshaun
Watson.
had to bring it in. So we're an NFC East based broadcast. You guys know that. That's what we feature, but we're also going to touch on everything that happened around the league in week 1. I'm going to talk about the big upset of the week. We're going to do this every week. Got to give a shout out to my man Jay Gruden, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Gardner Minshew. Biggest upset of the week according to the odds makers. They took down the Indianapolis Colts 27-20. Gardner Minshew was just about perfect. 19 for 20 passing, 3 passing touchdowns. Looked like a first-round pick. Looked better than all the bums they drafted before him. Sam Darnold's trash. Baker Mayfield's trash. He's looking great. The Beard, we know you love you some Gardner Minshew. And I believe you picked the Jags as an 8-point underdog last week, so maybe you won our fans some money. How'd you feel about that game?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So if you guys didn't get a chance to check out our newest show Sunday morning at 11 a.m. called The Parlay, I highly suggest you tune in this Sunday because Awthentik and I, and even Boomz from afar, gave you guys some gems when it came to the spreads, to fantasy. So yeah, during that Sunday broadcast, we definitely, Jacksonville +8 was my lock of the week. I like Gardner Minshew a lot, and I think they have some young, talented wide receivers there. Their running game was going to be a little bit of a suspect situation, but I also called out, my man Laviska Shenault.
You did.
And he came through, had a touchdown, a couple. What's that?
What's his first name? Leviticus?
Laviska.
Okay, cool. I like
Laviska Shenault. I called him out. I was like, yo, watch out for this dude. He caught a touchdown, had a couple runs, had like 5 catches. It was really dope. But, there was a ton of rookie talent out there. And, in that game, particularly, Jonathan Taylor, who's another rookie running back who I've been really high on out of Wisconsin, I think he had 60 yards rushing and 60 yards receiving. Now he's going to get a lot of run now too, but him and Hines are probably going to be, 50-50, but I would imagine in the long run, Jonathan Taylor's going to get more touches now that Marlon Mack is pretty much done for the year with the torn Achilles. But Jacksonville is a sneaky team. I'd keep an eye out on them. I don't know how far they're going to go. I don't know, I don't want to overreact to anything in week 1. It's week 1. We ain't had no preseason. We had COVID camp. So, like, I'm kind of like.
But Gardner did continue where he left off last season,
and y'all know, if y'all watched the podcast last year, I've been a big Gardner Minshew guy. Mustache magic, man.
Yeah, he was only owned by 15% of fantasy leagues going into this week, and I'm sure that's going to change. The boy was 90%, man. 90%. He was 19 of 20.
I mentioned this earlier to the pod crew, and everybody shot me down, so I'm going to offer it up to the chat and see maybe somebody will jump on my bandwagon. Is Jay Gruden a quarterback guru? Look at everywhere he's been. He sent guys to the Pro Bowl that are not even playing anymore. Andy Dalton, Pro Bowls. Kirk Cousins, Pro Bowls. Gardner Minshew, 19 of 20, 3 touchdowns. I'm just saying. I know Jay Gruden had some dirt. He left here in Washington when he rolled out, but, you know, the proof is in the pudding, if you ask me.
I feel you on that, too. Now, more thinking about it, man, it's like some coaches just are cut out to be, like, offensive or defensive coordinators, and his head coach stint just kind of, you know, that's the major blemish on his whole career, but 3 quarterbacks, 3 Pro Bowls, man.
Robert L. says, absolutely not. No, he isn't. Proclamation. There's a lot of Jay Gruden hate, and I felt that. I'm just saying, everybody keep in your heads, man. We'll see how Gardner Minshew progresses through the year. With the abbreviated training camp, the COVID stuff going on, coaches and analysts alike were saying that rookies were going to have an especially tough time catching up with the NFL speed, the strength, all that stuff, and they were going to struggle early. With that being said, there were some standout performers from week 1. Awthentik, man. Who is Joshua Kelly?
Joshua Kelly, man, running back out of UCLA. This kid jumped off the red zone screen when me and Tim were watching red zone. Yo.
Who does he play for?
Dude. He plays for the Chargers. And I mean, just bully runs. He runs kind of like how Darius Geis ran. You know, remember I used to always say about Darius Geis, he runs a little too physical and he's probably going to get hurt. Yeah. Now, this kid, Joshua Kelly, though, he's bulldozing people. Got that Adrian Peterson kind of vibe. I want to say he had 60 yards on like 12 carries and a touchdown, man. And he just, every carry looked very impressive. You know, breaking the first tackler that reached him every time and just finishing his runs off very strong. Definitely jumped out. And I want to give a shout out to CeeDee Lamb, man. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, he looked like he was progressed farther than Gallup. You know, he just looked like a wide receiver who had been in the league for a while. Maybe we're going to put him in that little group of what's my man Darius Slayton and Terry McLaurin, you know, as the young wide receivers who we're going to see.
Jalen Reagor too in Philadelphia had that 55-yard catch.
This the thing about CeeDee Lamb though, Dallas don't get at 88 to just anybody.
Yeah,
remember that. Dallas don't get at 88 to just anybody.
He's rocking 88. Michael Irvin. Okay.
And there was somebody before that in the 70s that wore 88 too. You know, so
but he was getting open. A lot of those catches, I mean, he was at like a yard and a half, just enough, and he's got sticky hands. It looks like he was bringing in everything that was going his way. So
fast feet too, man. Fast feet. The kid quick out of them routes, man. I was digging what I was seeing from him. Looked like a veteran.
17 points, not gonna get it done for Dallas, but man, I mean, if you had another weapon on the outside, you know, the more riches, the better. If you ask me, when it comes to wide receivers.
For sure.
So the Beard, I'm gonna pose the same question to you. Give me a rookie or two that really stood out to you this week that you like going forward.
I mean, we talked about it before Thursday night's game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The kid is, he's just that guy. You know, he's immediate. Like, there's nothing about him that makes you think that he's a rookie when you watch him run. And I was telling Awthentik that he runs really well with his shoulders. So he knows when to do these sort of dips when he's going through the hole to kind of like reach, so that those hands of the defensive linemen aren't getting him. He's got
strong enough legs to do that too, to just change his equilibrium a little bit, to have tacklers bouncing off his thighs without really making a move or a dip, you know, just bouncing off him just off the way he's leaning his equilibrium and being able to stay on his feet.
Yeah, and he should have had like 3 touchdowns, but still 25 carries for 138 yards and a touchdown as a rookie on a primetime game, like no like preseason.
Nothing.
Like, that's crazy. I mean,
is there a better team to run for though when you got Patrick Mahomes taking snaps? What does that box look like? 6 people, maybe.
You know what's crazy too is I had read a stat that they hadn't run the ball that many times with Patrick Mahomes at starting quarterback. That was the most. I think that was the most runs they've ever had by a running back since Patrick Mahomes was a starting quarterback.
It was a good time to do that too. You know, the Chiefs go up and get that lead towards the end of the game. You know, you can just milk clock, run the ball. I mean, it was a great game to showcase a brand new rookie that's gonna be a name that's gonna stick around this league for a long time.
And there was a ton of them. J.K. Dobbins in Baltimore, 2 touchdowns. You know, DeAndre Swift had a good game until he dropped that pass to win the game.
It's still a good game.
God.
It's still a good
He
game.
had a
Hey,
day,
shout out Troy,
that
man.
he dropped
Sorry,
that
Troy
pass,
fan.
man.
Then last night, you saw that catch Chase Claypool made. My boy from Notre Dame, the wide receiver for the Steelers. The feet on that catch was crazy.
Big catch, yeah.
It was a big catch. Jerry Jeudy, he had a couple of drop passes, but the way he runs his routes, Jerry Jeudy is going to be a problem too, and he's got some good speed also. I mean, there was a ton of young talent out there right now. It's kind of crazy. I mean, Antonio Gibson for the Redskins looked pretty well too.
Yeah, he balled out.
I
mean, these young boys are able to come into the league now, and the transition is so much slower. It's actually faster. They're just like learning how to play these spots. They're getting in immediately. These are day one starters coming out here balling, looking like they've been in the league for a while. Whereas like before, these players, they would have to take time to develop these guys. You wouldn't hear about them for a year or two. Now they just thrusting these guys right in because they've seen success, especially at the running back position, with young guys getting thrown in right away like Zeke Elliott, Saquon Barkley, and having success, And
then we got to talk, my bad, I mean, to cut you off, but we got to talk about Joe Burrow.
Number one pick.
The kid, that run, first of all, like that run for the touchdown
run was amazing. Hid behind the block perfectly.
Take that run away, though. What did the rest look like to you? Take away.
That 2-minute drill at the end of the game was clutch.
The good was good and the bad was bad. It was very much like a Daniel Jones kind of game without the touchdowns. But on that last drive, he showed you that he could ball. I mean, with everything on the line, that kid didn't look scared one bit. He hung in the pocket, stayed there. He got the runs that he needed to get to pick up first downs late in that game. And unfortunately, A.J. Green gets called for the pass interference there to win the game. And then your kicker pulls up and blows his calf on to tie the kick to go to overtime.
What was that?
Let me tell you,
he hurt himself. Injury? Is that a real? You think it was a real injury?
Nah, I think that was real. I think if that fool is at practice coming up this week and he's kicking like ain't nothing happened, I'm gonna cut him. Coach Morsco's gonna cut him.
You lied to all of us.
That.
I mean, that game, the Detroit game, Awthentik was filming me on video because I had hit every game that day so far, and we're watching that Detroit-Chicago game, and Swift had the ball. I like threw my arm. I'm going crazy. I'm about to hit all these games. I turn around from doing like a swirl sort of Tiger Woods fist pump.
Ball's on the ground.
The ball's on the ground. I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's a tough way to lose a game.
Then the Bengals game, that one hurt too. And then the Broncos coach.
The Broncos blew you.
The Broncos game blew me because they were basically winning the entire game, and they just time management. It's just those things. I didn't see a lot of first week sort of. Man, we ain't had no training camp. We ain't had no, this
no one
and that.
talking like
there
that.
There was a lot of good football played this week.
As my man Mike Swan would say, accountability.
Yeah,
that's it. Sounds like a real coach.
Yeah, man, take accountability, man. You messed up. COVID, no preseason, no mini camp. It don't matter now. We here, week 1. We going into week 2. Who's going to win these games?
There should be no excuse. I mean, football is football, right? You catch the ball, you run, you tackle people. I mean, that all stays the same. If you're not ready, that's on you. I mean, we got
a question.
Some people get run over.
Should I start Nick Chubb, Kenyon Drake, Jonathan Taylor, or J.K. Dobbins?
Who?
Kenyon Drake. Oh,
Drake,
Redskins defense, though.
Against the Redskins defense?
I mean, we're a pass rushing D line. I don't know if we're a run stopping D line. We don't know.
I think you start Jonathan Taylor.
I take the risk on Drake. Chubb, you definitely can't because the Browns just ain't clicking. That offensive line looking terrible now.
They might be the worst team. Obviously, we're not doing jumping off the crazy predictions.
Philadelphia look bad.
But the Browns look bad. The Jets look bad too.
Give me your crazy predictions, the beard.
The Browns might be the worst team in the league again.
Yeah.
They just I expected them to be better this year, right? Than they were last year. There's so much talent. But when you watch them play, it's just like they never They don't. What?
The
It's just not there.
Ravens own the Brown mentally, spiritually, metaphysically.
Man, the
They will
Browns
not beat
own the
Ravens.
Browns, man. The Browns can't win. They just can't win.
Over under
They
Brown
got-
6 wins.
Under.
I'll go over, man. I'll go over.
That's all I'm saying.
go
They're not
over.
gonna,
In that
they're not gonna get a 5-win
division,
team.
in that division this year,
I'll
Pittsburgh,
go over.
Baltimore.
They got to find
Cincinnati's
a way to win some
better.
games, man. It's a new coach over there too, man.
They
So
have
give him a
so
little
much
bit of
talent,
time,
man.
week one.
They got so much talent over there. It's crazy.
They got
do.
so much talent, man. But
top
it
two
starts
running
with
backs.
protection, man. If you can't protect Baker Mayfield, he's not going to get the ball to
Yeah,
Odell
that's
Beckham
their
and Landry.
biggest problem. Is their offensive line is really
Didn't Njoku
bad.
go down with an injury too?
Yeah.
Man, that hurts him even more, man.
Yeah, and Njoku, man, that was the guy that I wanted the Washington football team to trade for, but I'm glad we kind of dodged that.
Oh,
bullet.
I keep saying
Logan Thomas looks
Redskins.
good.
Sorry.
Yeah, he reminds me of
Take us a
O.J.
while.
Howard a little bit from
Take us a while.
Tampa.
So speaking of Washington football team, that's our last one. We're gonna kick to commercial real quick. Skins fans, Washington football fans, stick around. We're gonna get that recap to you in a second. I ain't a killer, but don't push me. Revenge is like the sweetest joy. Next to getting the Washington football team is in first place, sole possession of first place in the NFC East after taking down the Philadelphia Eagles 27-17. With about 7 minutes remaining in the second quarter, the Washington football team was losing to Philly. It was 17-0. With that start and with that score, I believe all Washington fans had their first taste of normalcy in this ridiculous 2020. But that deficit was not to last. Defense came around. Fabian Moreau had a big interception at the end of the first half. New tight end Logan Thomas scored his touchdown to kind of give us a little bit of heart, a little bit of soul. Second half, defense took over. We got to give a shout out to the Beard. He called 7 sacks. The Washington defense gave him 8. 1 bonus sack for the extra faith and love that he showed them. Just a great performance all the way around in the second half. Haskins didn't blow the doors off, but he did just enough to win. It was a very Alex Smith type game, if you ask me. The Beard, I know you're fired up. You haven't stopped smiling since we got on the air. Not very sunny in the streets of Philadelphia tonight, man. How'd you feel about the game?
I mean, it was crazy just because when I said 7 sacks, I was serious, but it was kind of like we all kind of laughed, like it just seems like something like a crazy number, right? But in that first possession that the Eagles had, they could have had like 15 sacks in that game, but Carson Wentz got away a bunch of times. But overall in that game, I would lie to you if in the beginning of that game I was not on that couch like, man, this is the same exact Redskins situation as last year. And I had no hope that things were going to turn around, but they did, and I have to give a lot of credit to the defense, obviously, right? I mean, we're going to talk about the defense. There's no question about that. But because that'll take up a lot of it. But before we do any of that, I do want to say, Dwayne Haskins, who did not play particularly well, in the first half, especially, and a lot of that I think is him growing up as a quarterback.
All the fans there were making him nervous is what it was.
But the thing is that, Ron Rivera wasn't there at halftime. He had to get the IV for his, because he's been having the cancer treatment done. And Dwayne Haskins stepped up and did all the halftime talking. Jack Del Rio could have done that. Another veteran could have done that. They made Dwayne Haskins a captain this season, which is a huge responsibility, especially coming off of the year that, the team had last year. So, and Ron Rivera talking about him having to earn a starting job, yet alone he earned the captain. And I think he proved why it was, deemed worthy of him being named a captain by stepping up at halftime and making that halftime speech. And then the way that the team responded and came out in the second half was just remarkable. But that defense, we've talked about it over and over and over again about how good that defense is supposed to be and how they look on paper. And they finally showed up, and just the way, to me, one of the biggest parts about it that was so amazing was they had Chase Young on the right, they had Chase Young on the left, they had Sweat on the right, Sweat on the left. They brought in Kerrigan. A couple of times they had Allen or Payne on the outside. You know, like they were giving them all these different looks. You know, so many different people getting to the quarterback. There was so many. I love it when my defense has a lot of half sacks. Because then that tells me that there's more than one person getting to the quarterback at the same time.
I like that. That's
I like to see a lot of half sacks, because there's probably 3 or 4 players on the Redskins team that had a half a sack, and that means that there's pressures coming from everywhere. Ioannidis, everybody stepped up. But what's crazy is the secondary. We got Darby got burned on that play. 3rd down and 22.
Eagles fan love to see that. They were chirping so big when that happened. They're like, I love to see Ronald Darby get burned.
I was heated at that point. 3rd down and 22, and they gave him a 55-yard pass. Like, come on. But I love to see the way that they respond to adversity, and that's what they did. Jimmy Moreland. I've been talking about Jimmy Moreland.
Is that his first career interception?
Yeah, first career interception.
Oh, that one's for you, man.
He showed you he could run a little bit, man. He took that thing back to the 20, man. Set y'all up for a great score right there.
He's wily. He's wily guy.
And Haskins, too. Just to touch really, on the offense. Awthentik and I talked about it a lot during the game. They needed to run a faster pace offense.
That yields well for Dwayne Haskins.
Too, man. That's
Awthentik will tell you about it. The quick slant.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about this with Eli and Odell Beckham when we had trouble on the offensive line on the year that we went 10-6, the boat year. All Eli threw that year was quick slants to Odell Beckham because we didn't have time to throw the ball. And that's when I feel like Dwayne Haskins is excelling the most. When you give him time to sit back in the pocket and he taking these 5-step drops, that's not the way for him when he has to make a lot of checks and a lot of reads and make decisions. I like the throws where he just drops back, one read decision, let that thing go. We saw the quick slant and the hurry-up offense work multiple times in the second half, and the Redskins adjusted. The Eagles didn't adjust in this game. And when you look at 3 turnovers and you look at the 8 sacks, no team's going to come back and win from that. Even when you're spotted a 17-point lead, I was telling Tim this whole game, I was like, I don't know what's up with Carson Wentz, but when it's time to really put the nails in the coffin, he can't do it. You got a 17.0 lead early. You got to get some more points on the board there and protect that lead.
Awthentik, did you notice Carson Wentz? So it's funny because it's considered a good trait in quarterbacks, but in him, it looks like a negative. He drops back. When he gets back in the pocket and his eyes get downfield, he completely loses awareness of his pocket. Like, blitzers were coming free on him that he should have seen and been able to duck out of, and he's just still staring downfield getting blasted. To me, it looked like, they want quarterbacks to keep the eyes downfield, but you have to have some awareness of when the rush is coming so you can give a little something to try to get out of the way and extend the play. I see none of that.
What pairs with that perfectly is and they always talk about this with Tom Brady, the internal clock. You got to know 2, 3, it's time to let this ball go or start running. You know who else had a really good internal clock back in the day was Mike Vick. Even though he was very elusive and he could run, Mike Vick would step on that back foot, and if 3 seconds happened and he didn't get the throw out, I'm out of here.
He pounded the ball. Do you remember how much Vick was? Mm-hmm. I think that was his timing next, because he would drop back in that 3 or 5, and he would just start hitting the ball. And as soon as he got to 2 or 3, if there was nobody open, Mike Vick was out. We know what he's
I mean, we can't overlook, too, Carson Wentz. I mean, that offensive line, super banged up. I heard there was a dude playing right tackle who had never played in the NFL ever, and he was a rugby player, and they threw him in on the line. Here we go again with the same thing from last year when they were banged up, and they had a wide receiver who was a punter or whatever he was that they threw in there. So, I mean, the Eagles are like this just rinky-dink made-up team of a bunch of leftovers at the park, a bunch of last picks. Ain't nobody out there. And then Alshon Jeffries banged up again. Miles Sanders banged up again. This front four for the Washington Redskins looks like it could be the most legit front four in the league. And, I mean, it showed. And Carson Wentz had trouble.
Chad Byrne, where you at, bro?
Yo, the other thing I want to say, too, is Carson Wentz, man, no zip. He has no zip on his throws.
Yeah, we did notice that.
Those balls were floated. I mean, they should have been
man, they hanging up in the air. He throwing fade routes right across the middle. It's like, bro, you got to get some zip on these throws, man. Like, this the NFL, man. The trajectory of his throw always starts low and kind of like lollipops up. I'm looking for the darts, man. Where are the darts? He's a big kid. He should have a big arm, man. He should be able to finish these throws. Instead, he's lobbing the ball up, interceptions. You know, it's kind of crazy.
The other thing too with Carson Wentz is the ducking thing.
Oh yeah, man. He going if he keeps doing that ducking thing, and I don't want to jinx him, but mark this word. I'm telling you,
the head down thing. When
that's
he gets
how Alex Smith broke his leg. You know,
when you also break your neck if it's the wrong.
Yeah, and I was going to say that's how Tony Romo folded the back. Remember when Tony Romo came back off the injury the following year and he got hurt on that primetime game? It was the same thing. Pressure comes right down the middle. You folding yourself up by trying to duck. And man, in the park, that play work all the time. Somebody try to tackle you and you whoop, you get right up under them. You know, but dog, this NFL, you can't keep trying the same move over and over and over. That's called cheese, bro.
And that's what I was saying. When he doesn't recognize it, I think because it's so last second for him when he actually sees the rushes coming, that's his first instinct is to go chin down, and it ends up, he gets bad. It looks like he's going to get injured. Robert L. mentioned the offensive line. They did him no favors. They had 2 injuries during the game. The right tackle came out, and I think one of the guards came out for a little bit. So the offensive line wasn't there for the Eagles. Wide receivers are hurt. No Miles Sanders. I mean, they didn't really have the pieces there. The Beard, I know you love your Washington football team. Do you think the Eagles are legit this year, or are you totally selling all your stock?
No, I mean, like I said before, I make no assumptions or judgments like that after the first week of football. It's just there's too many things, variables that go into this first week that to make it an assumption or decision about the outlook of the whole season after one game. It's just not. It's not my style. I know a lot of people out there are ready to be like, on the reaction scale, like,
right.
Should I be worried or, this? I mean, look, the Washington football team, right? I'm also kind of sometimes, most of the time, a realist, and so they had that performance against a Philadelphia offensive line that was, they were beat up. So, and they didn't have Miles Sanders, and it's just, you gotta enjoy it for sure, right?
Can't forget about Scott either. I mean,
he was in and out the game,
and even when he was in the game, he really wasn't effective at all. So their running game was kaput. I mean, it wasn't as bad as Saquon and the Giants on Monday night, but they had no running game there. And that front four, they took advantage of that, man.
I couldn't believe that they got away from the tight ends as much as they did towards the end of the game.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, look, if Ertz catches that pass towards the end of that game, the Redskins might not come out with a victory here.
Totally different game. And that's a drop that he never makes that drop.
Man,
that's
and speaking of these tight ends, I got to bring this up, even though it's a little bit outside. I gotta give you the New York talk. Evan Ingram.
The drop, I mentioned it.
Garbage. It's like he was asleep the whole game, man. I scooped him on my fantasy thinking this guy was going to put up at least 10 or 12 bare minimum. He put up like 1.3, man. Yo, Evan Ingram's got to get it together, man. He's got to stay focused, man, because he was getting thrown around on blocks and he was dropping passes all night, man. They didn't even want to target him after a while.
This is the last year of his rookie contract, right? Isn't this payday year for him?
Yes, Patrick was saying we should try to shop him, man, and try to see what his value is right now.
Right.
Because the backup, Caden Smith, is doing better than Evan Ingram.
I've been a Caden Smith guy since last year. I don't know if y'all remember that, but yeah, he's versatile.
He's solid. But we need better tight end play out of the Eagles. I mean, if they're going to win games, that's all they have to rely on. And it's going to be a lot of quick hitting throws because Carson Wentz ain't going to have the time. So your tight end's going to have to step up, man. Like, that's the only place he has to really go. These wide receivers on the outside, they just ain't it. And Alshon Jeffries is hurt every year.
Right. So, I mean, speaking of weapons on offense, the Beard, I got to ask you, I mean, we won the game. We put up 27 points or whatever. Redskins lack talent on offense. Let's get serious. I mean, Gibson looks like he flashes a little bit. McKissick and Barber, they're Jags. They're just guys. They're not anything special. Wide receiver, we do not have a number 2 wide receiver on the outside. Don't give me any of that. Don't shake your face. I already see you doing it. I don't remember the guy's name anymore. Who's the bum we picked up that you were talking about last week? He didn't do anything. He had, 2 catches?
Oh, Dontrell Inman?
Dontrell No Man. That's what, man.
He
terrible.
had a big catch in the game.
I'm just saying he's not a number 2 receiver. Do you
think
he's a
number 3? He's a number 3 receiver for sure.
Do you think Washington can get by this season and win a decent amount of games with the current skill players they have? We got to add somebody, right?
Whew. Yes, I do. I think this. Listen, this is what makes a great coaching staff. You have to realize what you have. Okay. You got to make the plays, make the schemes for the players that you have. They got to get a lot more creative. There needs to be a lot more creativity. I need to see more offensive motion. I need to see, we use Gibson a little bit different. Like, you have to remember, Gibson can play the receiver position as well. And Barber, as much as you want to say about Barber was really good in between the tackles.
He scored the touchdowns. I mean, on the goal line, he did what we needed him to do, but I think he had like 1.9 yards a carry. I mean, it was terrible. You can't
and Lowe's brings up another point too. Sims, you got to find a way to get that kid the ball. You got to find a way to get that kid the ball. And I think it's just going to have to be a lot of, I don't like to say trick plays or schematical, just something different. You got to
have the defense thinking.
Exactly. Keep the defense on your toes, and you want to you need Haskins running that hurry up offense. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to be key. And then, you know what I'm saying? If you got to, hand the ball off to Chase Young.
Put Chase Young in fullback.
Put Chase Young in tight end, man.
With Philly, I don't understand how their front four couldn't stop the Redskins' run. And I think what's going to end up happening is either the Redskins have a better running game than they thought they did, which could lead to them going into week 2 with a little bit of false confidence. If that Philadelphia Eagles defense isn't as legit as they were supposed to be here, because, I mean, they ran the ball way more effectively than I thought they could in this game. And I mean, I'm hoping as a Giants fan that it's a little bit of smoke and mirrors here with the Redskins running game. But I agree with you, Scotty. I think the Redskins are going to have to pick up some other people.
I mean, the running game didn't do good. Gibson averaged 4 yards a carry, but Peyton Barber was 1.7. Haskins ran it 7 times, 2.5. And then McKissick was 3 carries for -2 yards. So the running game was nothing to write home about.
It was more just like when they needed the runs. Yeah. I mean, the Barber touchdown was super clutch. And the other young boy, I mean, he was running all right all day. It was just getting the job done just enough,
Right.
Shout out Adrian Peterson, though.
How many carries was their leading carry? Did their leading carrier have, Scotty? The Redskins? Oh, I'm sorry, the Washington football team.
No, so Peyton Barber was the leading carrier. Why am I saying carrier? The leading rusher. You got in my head. Awthentik. He had 17. Yeah. Peyton Barber had 17 carries. Gibson was second with 9 carries.
Yeah, and you got to consider being down 17 points too. They, abandoned the run there a little bit for a while until they got that lead back up. But
I'm not sold on the Redskins offense. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm not necessarily sold. It's a work in progress. We everybody who said anything positive about the Washington football team said that defensive front is going to be the reason why they win games, especially early in the season, till that offense can find a rhythm. Like, that's just facts. So, I wasn't expecting Dwayne Haskins to go out and throw 4 touchdowns in the first game of the season. But did they turn the ball over? Nope. No turnovers.
And we saw a lot of good out of Dwayne Haskins. I just eye test wise, looking at his tape from this game, he's reading a little bit faster. The decision making is faster. When the pocket's breaking down and he has to run that one running play, he looked quick. You could see the loss of weight that he did in the offseason is translating to the field because he looked pretty fast,
For sure.
So I think it's going to work out for Dwayne Haskins. I mean, I think he can be a serviceable quarterback in the NFL at some point, but he's going to have to win a lot of games if the Redskins want to win games this year, because that front four is definitely going to put y'all in position. But the offense is going to have to score points, because look at this. Even in this game with 8 sacks and 3 turnovers, the Philadelphia Eagles still put up 17 points on the board, and your offense still had to do a little something. So it's going to take that. And Philly looks like bottom of the league right now. With that week 1 performance, they looked pretty bad.
Yeah, the other thing that's super important too is that the time of possession for the Washington Redskins is going to be a huge factor in how games are played out for the rest of the season. Because if you are going 3 and out, eventually that monster defensive front is going to be tired, because you got to give them some time, even though they're rotating people out. I love the fact, and shout out Ryan Kerrigan, because he became the all-time sack leader in franchise history this weekend. So shout out to Ryan Kerrigan.
Career
2 sacks this week, right?
2 sacks. He had 2 sacks this weekend, and he only played like 39% of the snaps of the game. So it's like
Chase Young had played the most snaps for all y'all D linemen. I saw it was like 81% of the snaps or something crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he was out there the whole time because he can do both. He can cover a little bit too.
That's
but
crazy.
I mean, we were
day one just.
I mean,
Young's a
Chase
freak.
Young is I think we're all in agreement that Chase Young is the truth, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
you know, obviously you don't want to jump the gun on one game, but I don't think that that's jumping the gun. I think it is pretty evident that Chase Young is going to be a force to reckon with in the National Football
Yeah, he
League.
jumps off the screen. I mean, he's the kind of player that even if he doesn't come up with those kind of statistics and get the sack numbers that, you know, a true pass rusher would get, he still jumps off the screen like a Jadeveon Clowney. You just see the talent immediately, you know? So he going to be fine, man. He's such a big kid, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
He had some great run stops too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
good.
1.5 sacks and two forced fumbles in your first game in the NFL?
Almost 3 forced fumbles because there was the one play that got called back. I mean, that kid was all over the place. And when you got a front four like that, it makes your linebackers look better. You know,
Yeah.
they look like they can cover better. Now they look like they stopping the run better. You know, I didn't see too many plays where y'all middle linebacker just came up and had to fill the hole and make the tackle. That front is legit.
The one sack that our middle linebacker John Bostic got, they literally like parted the Red Seas.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Run, and Wentz doesn't even see him until he's on top of him. I mean, it's good to be a middle linebacker when you got a D line.
And this is the thing too. You have to remember we had no Kendall Fuller either that game. So
well,
you know
that's
that's
your boy Jimmy Moreland. Stood out, man. I didn't think he could play outside, and he did it admirably.
That was the episode with Tokyo Crow last season when y'all were talking about Jimmy Moreland. Y'all was asking him about him. He was like, "Who?"
the people's corner.
The people's corner, man.
Well, I asked Awthentik, so the Beard, I got to pose the same question to you before we kick it to a commercial. After week 1, Washington won. Where's your confidence sitting? Are you 100, feeling great, 50 about where you were, or are you not confident about them? I don't know.
No, I mean, you just won. You hadn't won an NFC East game in 10 games. You're on a 10-game division losing streak. So the fact that we won and every other team lost, you know, that's a huge starting point. So of course I'm happy, but like next week is going to be the test. That's going to be the first real test. I mean, obviously, Kyler Murray, that's a whole different beast. Now, let me see what you're going to do defensively against Kyler Murray.
Way more weapons.
Because we watched Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, you know, that kid is good. We all knew that. I mean, I said
Well,
it.
I'll tell you, I wasn't high on Kyler
You weren't.
Murray.
But what about that game?
I felt like he was a little bit like he's just too small to play this game. But then seeing his tape, man, week 1, that kid is faster than anybody on the NFL field. The running touchdown that he got where he just went straight up the middle and then had to veer right, it's almost like he's laughing at these cornerbacks trying to catch him, man. I mean, the dude is super fast. I think if they can keep the right weapons around him and D-Hop, I mean, most targets of his career week 1 with a new team is ridiculous.
And he caught 14 of those 16 targets.
I mean, yeah, they didn't hiccup one bit. I'm way higher on the Kyler Murray train now, man. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But it's going to be a great test for the Redskins, man. That front four going in, probably week 1, best front four we saw was the Redskins front four, 8 sacks. Now, week 2, you're facing the quarterback that's, you know, a little miniature Mike Vick Jr. over here. So that's really going to test y'all defense. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to put a little bit more pressure on y'all secondary because this week, Carson Wentz was throwing y'all lollipops, man.
There's no doubt about it. I'm excited to see against Kyler Murray. We got to have one of those DNs. Because Sweat's athletic too, so we can have one of those guys spying Murray on every 3rd and long. There's no doubt. Otherwise, we're going to get burned up.
Facts.
Quick commercial break, and then we're going to say goodnight to you guys. Thanks you for hanging in. We'll be right back. All right, we are closing up the episode here. We're going to say goodnight to you guys real quick. Awthentik, you want to give any shout-outs, say anything to the fans?
Oh, man, just shout out to everybody in the chat, man. It's, you know, it's dope to see this channel growing and seeing the engagement. Shout out to Kelly who won the jersey. And, you know, keep your eyes peeled on our Instagram. Like I said, man, we're going to be giving away another jersey sometime in the next couple of weeks, probably around that Redskins-Giants game. And parlay on Sunday. We got another show on Thursday. Make sure y'all subscribed. You know, hit that notification bell because that'll let you know when we're going live and all these things if you forget. But 7 o'clock Tuesdays and Thursdays, man. Sunday morning, 11. Scotty, we going to see you this Sunday morning?
I believe I'm off. I got to call my boss. I don't know if we're doing lawns this weekend or not. If not, Brandon Curtis, let me know if you're in the chat there. If I'm off, I'm going to be around. If not, I'm going to kick it because, by the way, I got to give a shout out. You guys did a phenomenal job on Sunday. I was tuning in when I was working. Stand-up job. The Beard, I never would have expected it.
Appreciate it.
With that
Yeah,
said,
I
Amir,
mean-
give us something. Go ahead, buddy.
That was it's a fun time, and we just hope that we're continuing to be able to provide you guys with some information, some entertainment, all at the same time. We really appreciate all the support, all the people out there that are sharing the link on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Like it means a lot to us, and just continue to spread the word because we're gonna try to keep growing. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Facts.
And hopefully, the Washington football team continues to move along. But we're going to be back Thursday night. It's going to be a fun show. Thursday night, we're going to be previewing the weekend games ahead. And then that Thursday night game, you guys know who that game is?
I saw it, but I forgot. Who is it?
It's the Bengals and the Browns.
Oh, man, that's going to be a terrible Thursday. Hey, boys, put them on Thursday night, too, man. Hey, real quickly, man, shout out to my boy Shanti in the chat one time. I ain't seen you in a minute, man.
Shanti.
Hope y'all doing good, bro.
Roger, what's up? All right, man. Well, you guys, they do it better than I could ever say. I have no words for you guys. Thanks again for tuning in tonight. God bless the dream chasers. If you have a dream, keep chasing it. Don't let anybody trap your dream. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Best division in football.